58 Berkeley project, episode 4. Talked a lot about parts and that sort of thing. A lot of people have been asking me to actually see pictures of the body. I will get them up here as soon as I can. I've not had a chance to get over to the body maker to take a video of the body. I have pictures of it. I just got to figure out how to edit them into a YouTube video. I'm a fabricator and interior guy. I'm not a technology guy, so I'm still trying to figure this out. Feel free to laugh at me. One thing that we are doing on our cart that I've seen on a couple of the off-road buggies is we are using a hand-operated clutch that will be mounted on the shifter. This actually came with my motor when I got it. It's the clutch lever assembly for the 09 CBR, and someone bought this really nice aftermarket lever by Speed Metal, I guess. I have no idea, but that's what it says on the lever. It's adjustable. It's going to be a really nice piece to have. So mounted on the sequential shifter will be the clutch, so it will be hand operated instead of off a pedal. It'll make it a lot nicer for racing or drifting it, because it's like giving you the ability to have a third leg. Now, instead of having to use your feet to work the brake, gas, and clutch, you can use the brake, the clutch, and the gas all at the same time while shifting and steering. So it's like having 5 usable appendages, which is really nice when driving. So it was a decision that I made. One, because I have the part, now I don't have to come up with a clutch pedal. 2, the pedal box area is really tight, and I wanted to have enough room. I got big feet, so I wanted to make sure that I had enough room to move my feet. Now, this is something that I wanted to do because nobody is explained this yet on YouTube that I can find. This is the mathematical formula, and it looks complicated, but it's a simple mathematical formula for figuring out your vehicle's final top speed. This is how it works. This is your input RPM, and I did mine at red line in 6th gear, and I'll explain that. This is the red line RPM of 16,000. This is what is called a primary reduction ratio. This is only in motorcycle engines, to where before the power goes into the transmission, it goes through a primary reduction. My primary reduction on the 2009 model CBR600RR motor is 2.1 to 1. So the input into the transmission is 7,619.047 RPM. Now, my 6th gear ratio is 1.1 to 1. A motorcycle transmission is not like a car transmission, where your 5th gear and 6th gear are overdrive and double overdrive. This is still a 1.1 to 1 gear ratio. It's not even a direct drive. So in 6th gear at redline, I'm doing 6,926.406 RPM. Now, in order to get our final drive RPM, we have to know our final drive gear ratio. And how you figure that out with a motorcycle is you take your rear sprocket tooth count and divide it by your front sprocket tooth count. This is the factory combination for an 09 CBR. 41 in the rear, 16 in the front. You divide that, you get 2.5 to 1. Or 2.51 to 1. That's your final drive gear ratio. So when you hear someone talk about a car and they have 373 or 410 gears, same thing, this would be a 2.5 to 1 gear ratio. So my final RPM at the wheel is 2,759.52. Now that is 16,000 RPM red line in 6th gear. Now comes the tricky bit. Now this is all simple math. This is multiplication and division. It's not complicated. What you do is you take your outer wheel diameter. Now that's not saying you have a 12-inch wheel or a 14-inch wheel. You need the total height of your wheel and tire, which for us is 22 inches. Now you multiply that by pi, or 3.14. And to convert it into feet, you divide by 12, which gives us 5.75 feet. And you multiply that by your RPM, which gives you 15,867.24 feet per minute traveled. Now, in order to convert that into feet per hour traveled, you multiply by 60. So, because there's 60 minutes in an hour, which turns into 952,034.4 feet traveled per hour. Now, in order to convert that to miles per hour, you divide by mileage, which is 5,280 feet in a mile, which gives us a top speed of 180.03 miles per hour. This is how you can calculate your miles per hour before you ever even buy a part. If you have a different RPM, you change it. If you are not running a motorcycle engine with a primary reduction, you don't need to put in the primary reduction. This would be your RPM. You can calculate it for every gear that you're in at every RPM with this formula. It's the simplest thing in the world, and I wanted to go ahead and make a video of this to explain to anybody out there how to calculate this if you don't already know. It's simple third grade math. It just is used in a very applicable way to what we're doing. Now, I'm not running the stock gear ratio, so this will not be doing 180 miles an hour. But if you were running that tire size with this RPM, that's what you would get. So I wanted to do this so it would help you guys, because I see a lot of people out there building these carts and they're putting a 15-tooth front sprocket on there, which there's nothing wrong with that. But then they're putting like a 68-tooth rear on it because they think they're heavier and they need so much more torque. But a lot of people don't understand that a motorcycle engine has a primary reduction gearbox. So when your tax says 16,000, you're not doing 16,000. It's usually 2 to 1, 2.1 to 1. It depends on your engine what the reduction's going to be. So check the manufacturer specs online. But you don't need to drop that much in the rear. Every tooth in the rear makes a tremendous difference in your gear ratio. I'm probably going to be running a 15 tooth in the front and a 43 in the rear to start with. It's going to give me a lot of torque at the wheel. It's going to give me a lot of top speed, because there's nothing fun about doing 16,000 RPM in 6th gear and doing 60 miles an hour. It's not fun. You're going to accelerate like nobody's business, but first, second, and third gear are going to be rendered completely useless. And you're just going to have more gear than you need. You're never going to get traction. You're going to be blowing your tires off. So I hope this helps you guys make your gear selection like it did me, and save you from buying parts that you don't necessarily need. All I'm trying to do with these videos is make this easier. Very soon I'm going to be showing the Berkeley body. There are pictures of it online at my Facebook account, Facebook/Alexander G. Roller, and that's where you can find pictures of the Berkeley. They're public. My profile's private, but the Berkeley photos have been made public for everybody to see. So if you want to see pictures of the car, it had the pictures of the car on there. They have the aftermarket hood on there, some slight body changes, but that is not the wide body. That's actually Bill's body that has already been completed. Mine is still in the molds. Mine will have the wide body on it. The hood scoop is going to be a little bit different. The head cowl behind the driver's head is going to be slightly different. So there's going to be some changes with mine, but that's his body, and those pictures are available right now. But very soon I will post pictures of the chassis under construction, more parts as they come in from BMI. A Braille green light lithium battery has been ordered. It's a great battery. It's 1.3 pounds at 196 cold cranking amps, which is what's spec for my motor, compared to the factory battery, which weighs about 9 pounds. So it's a great weight saver. It's $138. Again, that's from Braille batteries. So as more parts come in, we'll be showing them, we'll be talking about them, and we're going to try and make your build as easy as this build is, and just make it so more micro cars and more of these buggies can be on the road. It's not hard to build one of these. as long as you know where to get this stuff, very little fabrication has to be done other than building your frame. The other thing is we are building a jig for the frame, so once this build is completed, the complete chassis for this Berkeley project and the bodies, stock or aftermarket, will be available for purchase. So if you like this build and you want to build one of your own, if you want to build one that looks like a factory Berkeley but with a more modern chassis, if you want to build a wide body Berkeley, or if you just want to build the chassis and drive it around like a nutty go-kart, I'm not going to judge you. It's fun. We're trying to make this so everybody can enjoy the thrill of just driving something that just puts a smile on your face. It's like driving a go-kart on the street. It doesn't get any cooler than this. So stay tuned for more videos, more products, more information, and I hope this is helping everybody out there who's trying to complete a project like this. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to message me here on my YouTube channel, and I will get back to everybody that I possibly can. Thanks for your time.